There it is. Hey, Sean, how are you doing?
Hey Kenny, good to see you. It's
It
been a
is.
busy day for me today actually. Julie had been gone and she got home this morning, so then
There it is.
we had to do a bunch of
Hey, Sean, how are you doing?
Hey Kenny, good to see you. It's
It
been a
is.
busy day for me today. How's that doing
I shouldn't laugh so much when that happens,
that?
but I don't know why it just cracks me up when I start to hear myself.
I hope it's still live. Is it still live?
It appears to be. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. We're still
We'll
alive.
start over, I guess.
Oh, sounds good. Hello again, Sean. How are you today?
Good, Kenny. It's been a rough day for me today because Julie has been gone for the last, I don't know, 10 days. And she got home this morning early, and then we had to start all the chores.
Oh,
So
she
it's
she made
nice
it
to
home early
sit
though.
down at the computer. Yeah. And first time today.
Nice.
And it's getting to be fall here. We just had Toby out for a walk, and there's damp, cold in the air, and the leaves are finally starting to turn. So,
Oh, very cool. I think that's the one thing I'll miss being here in Arizona. You have no idea it's fall. Like
yeah.
there is zero indication that it is fall here, other than I guess that the monsoon season has stopped. But yeah, we have no change of colors. Um, I take that back. I guess you could say so. During the summer here, the mountains were very green because of all the monsoons, and now that the monsoons have stopped, the mountains are going back to their normal brownish tan colors. But that's not fall to me. Fall to me is what you describe.
Yeah, as I'm sitting here, I have a window and there's leaves falling
Oh,
every few
nice.
seconds. So,
So you've already went through your color change and now they're falling.
well, they're kind of doing it at the same time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that means extra work for you too out in the yard.
yeah. And it's going
Nice.
to be, I think it's going to be a cold winter. So,
Mm. Do you don't go up on your roof to like brush off leaves? I mean that
yeah, I do.
well, yeah, I guess they do stain, don't they? They do make
Yeah.
like stain marks. I guess it is a good idea to brush off the leaves off the roof of the
Especially
RV.
the anything to do with a black walnut tree
Mm.
is very, it stains everything. So,
Okay. So even
yes.
like you have solar panels up there, they could stain your solar panels and probably reduce the amount that your
Oh, yeah.
input.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. It's always
So
something,
we had a
Sean.
good, yeah, we had a good episode that just came out, the FMCA
Yeah.
episode, Family Motor Coach Association. I thought that was a good episode. I really enjoyed talking with Chris,
Yeah.
and
It's a company that's been around forever, it seems, for RVing. And he was very down to earth. He appeared to really enjoy the episode. I know they've been promoting it on their Facebook page. They You told me actually that they promoted it in their monthly magazine.
yep,
I've seen them post it about being on the show on Instagram as well. And it was a very enjoyable episode to learn about that long history, how it's changed and how it's evolving and all the benefits that they provide.
yeah, and I thought it was really cool that he specifically mentioned us in the magazine as a reason why he thought to write about the history.
Yeah, yeah, that was very
Yeah.
cool. Yep. Yeah, I thought that was fun. It
And
was
it really is a good magazine. It's I read it. I read the October edition, I guess, and it's a really good magazine. I enjoy it a lot.
I just started it. I was kind of paging through it. I'm gonna go back and look through it. So Sean and I are both now FMCA members. And I was just saying right before we got on here, I told Sean that I'm trying to sign up. So FMCA has a a hotspot deal. We talked about it on the episode with Chris. For $50, you get truly unlimited internet, which is kind of unheard of. And Sabrina and I want to sign up for it. And they're that page is down this weekend. So hopefully I'll be able to get on there tomorrow and sign up for it because we have just a ton. So internet where we live is like non-existent. it's horrible. So I mean, it's almost like we are transferring a lot of the things that we did in the RV back into the house, and the use of hotspots is one of them. But there's so many things running off our hotspot in the house. It's just too much for the hotspot. So we want to pick up a second hotspot, and this will be on a different service. So instead of we'll have AT&T, and we'll have, what is it, Sprint.
Sprint, T-Mobile, I guess.
And I looked it up. This area is good for Sprint, so that's a plus right there too. So, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully their website comes back up.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
have a lot of good benefits, though. I mean, like the travel assist thing, like for emergencies.
I like that too.
The tire deals look pretty good.
Yep.
In their magazine, they have a lot of stuff he didn't even touch on as far as benefits go.
Yeah, I noticed that too. But I guess,
yeah, so there's a lot there.
I guess he was just trying to hit all the highlights. And then they have their rallies. Sabrina and I are going to be at the rally in March, because it's really not that far from us, under 2 hours, and we'll be able to go there. And it's in Tucson. And I'm like, oh, well, Tucson is normally hot, but in March it should be comfortable.
Yeah, nice.
We'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out. Sabrina's excited about it too. She's got to work out some stuff with her work and scheduling. She said if she can't be there for the full 4 days, she'll at least be there for a day or two. And me and Belle will be there for the full 4 days to see what it's all about. This will be my first time ever being at one.
Yeah.
You've been to FMCA rallies before.
Yeah, I've been to FMCA rally before, and they're huge.
Yeah.
That's all
I'm looking forward to it. Okay. A lot going on, it sounds like.
A lot going on, yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looked like when I was looking into it. And and Chris genuinely, he really seemed to enjoy our I would say our company and our discussion. And they offered us I don't know what you would want to call it, but we're offering it to our listeners. If you're interested in joining the FMCA club, use the discount code BTW10 during checkout, and you'll get $10 off your annual pass. The annual pass is only $60.
Yeah.
So it'll knock it down to the $50, but hey, $10 is $10.
Yeah.
And you're getting a lot for that. I would say you're getting a lot for the $60, but with our discount code, you're getting, a ton for your $50.
You even get the cool number.
Yep. Yeah.
So
the magazine, you're going to get the discounts right away. Like Chris was saying, there is no enrollment period or anything like that. Once you sign up, you're ready to go. I did not receive my plaque just yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And I've been looking at my RV to determine where I want to put the plaque. I'm guessing the ladder rack, but I go up on my roof a lot, but I do carry a spare ladder. So it's something I got to look for. I'm trying to figure out, where do I want to put it? I see the ladder rack is a pretty popular spot. You have a ladder on the back of your.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Is that where you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, probably that, or we have a window in the back.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I didn't think about putting it in a window. Yeah, that's a good idea too. So you're the very back. You have a window facing directly behind the RV. I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in the kitchen.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know why that's nice? Because a lot of backing sites sometimes will have the best views facing that direction.
Yep.
I mean, I like our Class A, and I never say anything bad about our Class A, and I love the windshield in our Class A, but most of the time that windshield faces the person across from you, or in the lot, where the back window is usually, well, I don't have a back window.
We have lost Kenny.
Sean.
Oh, you're back now.
Okay. So say one of us froze up. I guess it's me.
Yeah.
Like I just said, I'm trying to increase our hotspots.
Yeah.
Eventually we'll get it. We'll get it together.
Yeah. So take advantage of that if you're interested in joining FMCA, and you don't have to have a motorhome now, like a Class A.
Mm-hmm.
It's opened up. We have a fifth wheel, and we're able to join as well.
Yeah. It's super nice of them. So it's a BTW 10 during your checkout, and you'll get $10 off of your annual pass. It's awesome. Yeah, we really appreciate them doing that for us.
Yeah,
it's super nice. Super nice. They We did not ask them for anything. They approached us about it and said, "Hey, we'd like to offer this to your listeners." So we think that's pretty super. I wish more people that we interviewed would offer stuff to the listeners as
Yeah.
anything type of discounts or
Yeah.
anything like that. That'd be great. That'd be
Yeah.
cool. So this issue or this episode of Drivers Edition, Sean and I were talking about what the topic should be, and one of the things I was recently watching a lot of Adam Savage videos on YouTube, and Adam Savage is from Mythbusters, and I said, we could talk about probably some myths that are involved in RVing and things that we found not to be so true, or maybe they'll turn out to be true. I don't know. We
Yeah.
might have a different opinion. We didn't talk about,
No.
so I don't know what Sean's answers are, and he doesn't know what our answers are. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the RV myths, and one of them, I know when Sabrina and I were going to go full time in our RV, we were having friends and family say, what are you guys like running away from? Why are you trying to be so antisocial by hopping in this RV and driving the country? And I think that is something that a lot of people think RV life is like, that you are antisocial or you are trying to be alone. And I'm sure you can do that, but I think you will find the opposite to be true. I believe that you are running towards more people, a bigger, stronger community than you even realize. I feel like that is not true at all, that people in RVs are not running away from anything. They're exploring, they're trying to broaden their horizons, I guess, a little bit, and see more of the country. I think they're trying to maybe on a quest for education. I've learned a lot from traveling. What are your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I think using us as an example, when we first started, we had just retired from the military, or I was getting ready to retire, and Julie had retired. And we actually, in our 20 years of military, we have more friends, genuine friends, in the 6 years of full-time RVing than we do in the 20 years in the military.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a big myth. And I'm sure there are some people that do choose the RV lifestyle to get away and be antisocial, but it's really hard unless you're boondocking all the time.
That's what I was going to say. The only way you would be able to do it is by boondocking. And even then, I mean, we've had people come up to us even while boondocking, but yeah, the campgrounds, people
It's
are just on.
community.
Yeah, they are going to want to come up to you. They're going to want to ask about whatever type of RV you're driving, where you're coming from, where you're
Yeah.
going, where have you been, what do you think about your RV, and what do you enjoy about? People are crazy friendly, and you are not. It's not probably the best scenario for antisocial people, unless, so like you said, I mean, maybe if you can travel and just boondock. But Sean, there's times I'm just stopped for gas, and the RV is just a conversation starter no matter where we are, and people come up to us while pumping gas and say, "Hey, how much gas you put in that? How many miles does it get?
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where did you just come from? Where are you from?" Like, it is just a conversation starter with no effort at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Another one is, we still hear this, and we've talked about safety while being on the road, is that, RVing is not safe. You're going to get robbed. There's theft out there. I mean, Sabrina and I, in the 4.5 years that we were full-timing, we never felt unsafe, and we've never had anything stolen from us. We've never had anybody, I was going to say, we've never had anybody scam us, but I don't think that's true. I think we were scammed one time at a Walmart.
Oh, really?
But that had nothing to do with RV. And Sabrina was coming out of a Walmart once, and a guy came up to her and said, "Hey, I need a couple bucks. We got a flat tire. I got my kids here." And he did have kids. And he's like, "If you could just spare like $5-10." Sabrina came back to the RV and said, "What do you think?" I was like, "It's up to you. If you want to give them $5-10, go ahead." So we did. And I'm sure it was a scam. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. It probably was. But yeah, I feel for the most part, it's very safe. Everybody else in the RV community, I feel, looks out for one another. I think we're very cautious for other people. um, yeah, I feel very safe RVing. I think the first night or second night, I say the first 2 nights that we slept in RV at a gas station, we were a little leery and we didn't sleep all that great. After that, we've slept at it sounds terrible. We've slept at hundreds of gas stations since then, and we sleep like babies now. Like it's not even an afterthought.
Yeah, I've never felt unsafe anywhere. And we've boondocked in places where, you couldn't really even see somebody by you.
Yeah.
But we felt safe all the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is another good myth. Now, like any other part of life, there's going to be stuff that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And shoot, I'm more afraid though of a fire, my RV catching fire somehow than of any like crime or anything like that.
Yeah. Technomadia had a good point about this, and they said, theft and robbery. They feel like it's easier to be robbed in a house than it is in an RV because everybody knows where your house is at all times, and they can kind of scope you out. The chances of somebody robbing you in your RV is like they just happen to stumble upon you. There was no planning. There's no nothing. Like they don't know where you're going to be or when you're showing up somewhere or anything like that. So they had a good point about that people can kind of like scope out your home and get a feel for the neighborhood and know who's there and who is. Yeah, you don't know anything about this person that's just pulled up in this RV. So I thought that was a pretty good point that they had made one time.
Yeah, we live in the country and we have security cameras up around our house, but when we're RVing, we don't have security cameras for our RV.
We're looking into security cameras for our house. We've never had them for the RV. Yeah, and then I think it's just goes back to that fact that you're in one spot. People can. I don't know if I'm paranoid, but people can like case you out. They know what time you get home from work. They know what time you're leaving for work. They know when the house is empty. And well, I'm home all the time, so the house is never empty. But but they can get a routine. You're not picking up somebody's routine, most likely, if they're RVing. You're not. No. Yeah, it's routine is not. There are routines, but not the same. Yeah, not the same. Yeah.
This next one, Kenny, it's a cheap way to live. And I've really been thinking about this the last year that we've been back in a house.
Mm-hmm.
And we spend about the same amount of money either way. It's no more expensive and it's no more non-expensive.
Yeah, I agree. So when we left our apartment, so leaving apartment life, going into the RV life, we spent almost identical in money. It was so close. We actually did a video once about it, and people were like yelling at us saying that we were doing it the wrong way because we're spending too much on RV. But it's just the way it was. Like it between fuel and maintenance, the campgrounds, it adds up really quickly. It's different things that you're spending money on, but then you also have all the same stuff. You still have your insurance on your vehicles and your health insurance.
Yeah.
It's I believe it can be cheaper, and I know people do it cheaper, but they are doing what to me wouldn't be RV. Like the whole purpose of being an RV a lot of time is to travel, and that's going to cost money because of fuel. Yeah. It's also to travel to see things, which can cost money if you want to go explore and try different, whatever your thing might be. If it's different restaurants, museums, if it's shows, if it's Broadway, like anything like that. Yeah, if you just park somewhere in the middle of the desert for 6 months and don't go anywhere and don't do anything, then yeah, it's going to be cheaper. But that to me isn't really RVing. That's just, I call it parking. But
yeah, what we always told people when we would do our seminars, which hopefully we'll get to do again at some point, but what we told people was, if you're spending a lot of money being stationary, you can't just switch and not spend money.
Yeah.
Just because you're traveling. You're going to, you have to ease into a different kind of like a frugal lifestyle. And so if that's the way you want to live, it's not necessarily RVing that's doing it. It's you that's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I love the word frugal. I like it so much better than cheap. But yeah, I agree. Like when you jump into the RV world, it may be cheaper. Say if you had a huge house and you sold the house for, I don't know, say you sold it for 600,000 and you bought an RV for 50,000, that just put some money in your bank. I mean, maybe in that mindset, it could be considered cheaper. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think if you live a expensive lifestyle at home, you're going to live an expensive lifestyle in the RV.
Yeah.
I think if you're going into the RV thinking that you can live a cheap life, you could probably do the same thing
In
living
a
right
house.
where you are,
Yeah.
unless you live in California, New
Right.
York. But
Right.
that's anything. I mean, you could, yeah, you could leave California, go to Arizona, and probably cut your costs in half.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, I just
uh,
saw that a town in California hit $7 and something for
that's
gas.
exactly what I was going to say. Yes, something like $7.49 for regular 87 octane. I saw that. I was like, whoa. That is unbelievable to me. I can't, you know what? I wish I would have done the math on we have an 80-gallon tank in here, and my math is my math, $560. That'd be
Yeah,
like
probably
500
adding
more.
up the change though would be like over 600.
Yeah. That's just, that's not
Yeah.
cheap living
Nope.
when you're spending almost $600 to fill your gas tank. Yeah. It is. Well, the RV is definitely not a daily commuter. Well, not
Yeah.
ours anyway.
Well, I just filled up the truck yesterday and it was $4 a gallon.
Oh, well, you're diesel,
Yeah.
right?
So it
And
cost me, I think it was $105.
105. Okay.
That's
Your
not
tank,
cheap.
what size tank you got in your truck?
It's 31 gallons, I think.
Oh, that's a good size tank. But you need that though, guys, when you're towing and
Yeah.
you got your fifth wheel behind you and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I've seen a couple people. Have you ever thought about putting in like look, I don't even know if you would have room for it because of the fifth wheel.
Oh,
A
yeah, I
separate,
do. Yep.
like a separate tank you could put
Yeah.
in an extra tank. But at the same time, aren't you ready to stop anyway? Stretch your
Yeah.
legs, and
Yep.
I don't know if there's really
Go
an
to the
advantage to it.
bathroom.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if there's an advantage to having a larger tank so that you can run longer in between. Yeah, maybe there isn't really. I don't know. I have seen it though, but
It just
I'm
depends on the person, I think.
okay. I don't know if I've
When I
ever
was
seen.
younger, I could drive for many, many hours. So
Yeah,
nowadays, I have to stop.
it starts to get dark, and I'm done. I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
let's get off the road. Although Sabrina and I did go out last night just to look at like Halloween decorations in the neighborhood and down in the center of town. And I know on the way back, I was like, these headlights in this car aren't all that great. I probably shouldn't be out. It's funny because I'm getting off track here, but different laws and rules and stuff here in Arizona, you're allowed to drive four-wheelers, just ATVs on the road. And we saw one at night, and I've seen them during the day, but I've never seen one at night. And he had his headlight on his ATV was better than the headlights of my car. And I was like, man, I'm jealous of that headlight that he has on
Yeah.
his ATV. But it's a law that if you have an ATV and you ride it at night, that your headlight has to be able to shine 500 feet. And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
that's a good this. I don't think my headlights go 40 feet. So that's why his headlight was so bright, I guess.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
but
think mine are the original headlights in my truck, so they're not LED or anything
yeah,
like that yet.
we don't have LED. I'm always so jealous when somebody, well, I put LED headlights in our RV, and that was a huge upgrade. That was a big difference. You know what? Maybe we should try to get those guys on the show. I believe that was M4 Light or who did I buy them from? M4 something. But man, I like to use the term with these lights night and day difference, because
Yeah.
before we had these LED lights, I could barely see a thing. Now, between the height of the RV that we sit so high, I mean, we're almost as my seat is. I look inside the track trailers when we're going past. Between the height and these LED lights, I much prefer driving the RV at night than I do the car.
And you installed them yourself?
I put them in myself. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
I am
good.
not. Yeah, I'm no tech wizard. It was fairly straightforward. It's a little different because there's resistors that are in here that you gotta wire up. So it's a little tricky. You know, it's not like you twist pull the one out and twist pull in. I had to strip wires and wire them up, I believe, or put some type of connectors on them. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't incredibly straightforward. I don't remember it being incredibly straightforward. I feel like there was a couple little steps to it. Not what you're used to, where you just twist pull,
Right.
switch a connector, twist pull, and push back in or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Little different, but yeah, huge difference. If anybody's thinking about, if you got a Class A and you don't have the LED lights and you're thinking, just do it. It's expensive, but it's money well spent. You will be able to see where you're going. It lights up that road so nice. It's a huge difference. It's one of those things that we did, and I said, man, Spring, we should have done this before we even brought the RV home. It's such a difference. Big difference.
Yeah. So again, not a cheap way to live.
No, not a cheap way to live. Yeah, they were over $100 just to change your headlights.
Yeah.
It's not. And that's the problem with RVing too. You always find things that you want / need.
Yeah.
Boosters and just all that kind of stuff. Another, I think, myth, and I guess it's somewhat true, and someone is, dumping your tanks as a dirty job. It's real. And I remember when Sabrina and I were researching RVing and we were thinking about going full time, I was stressing over dumping the tanks. I was like, do I really want to be messing with sewage and handling it? It really isn't that bad. I remember watching videos. I'm like, man, it just seems like a lot of steps. You're connecting this, you connect that, then you pull the black, then the gray, and you flush it out. Like, I remember thinking, I was like, what if I do it in a wrong order? It's really easy to do one. Once you do it once or twice, when I do it now, I'm not even usually paying attention almost to what I'm doing. I'm not even really thinking about it. It's all just like almost like motor skill now. And it's not that dirty of a job. You got your gloves on. You don't get sprayed. You're not getting anything on you. I walk away dry every time. If I do everything right, I walk away dry every time. Yeah. Sometimes I'll turn on like the water for the clean out and the pressure's a little stronger than I'm expecting. Yeah. I might but I've never gotten any sewage or waste on me.
I don't do it in our RV. That's one of Julie's
things really?
That she does. Yeah, but she always wears gloves, and
you wear the gloves.
She's never made a mess.
Yeah, even though I do consider fairly clean, I do recommend wearing gloves. I wear gloves every time. I see people not wear the gloves, and personal preference type of thing. I think you should wear the gloves because even though you're not spraying it on you, things drip here, there, and then you put the sewage. I don't know where you keep your sewage hose, but my sewage hose goes in the same bay that our dumps tank station is. So I always wear gloves when I'm handling all that stuff. I try to anyway. I'm sure there's been 1 or 2 times that I didn't. Maybe I didn't have gloves or I was just in a rush or something, but I would say 90% of the time I wear gloves.
Yeah, and especially when handling the hose, I would think.
Yeah.
You want to wear gloves.
And then, we use 2 separate hoses. So we got a freshwater hose, and then we have another hose that we use for our Sani. It's called a Sani flush. It just cleans out your, it cleans out your black tank. And we 2 separate hoses. I've seen people share that hose. I'm like, I know it's not going backwards, but I don't like that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some valve that prevents it from backflowing into the
hose. I hope so anyway. But I use 2 separate hoses. Yep.
But yeah, it's not a dirty job. Not like people make it out to be on television.
Yeah, it's not like the movies where it's just going everywhere.
Yeah.
But I guess in a sense, what's that guy, Mike Rowe? It could fall under his dirty jobs, I guess, anything that you're getting your hands a little dirty with, right? Or manually, almost like manual labor type of thing. Another one that I hear a lot, and we've been asked this, is can you really make like good home cooked meals in your RV? And absolutely, like Sabrina and I make 99% of our meals, for us anyway, 99% of our meals are made in the RV. It's very rare that we go out to eat. And we got the convection oven, we got a propane oven, we got a 3-burner stove, we got counter space for like an air fryer. There's nothing that we can't make in the house that we can't make in the RV. There's nothing that we can make in the house, I should say, that we can't make in the RV. I don't know. You guys do a lot of cooking at home too.
Yeah, we do. Almost like you. Almost every meal is in the RV. We rarely eat out. So, and like you said, that like we have the convection oven in our RV. We don't have it in our house.
Oh yeah,
So
neither do we. Yeah,
yeah.
right.
So it even gives you more options. I guess the space is a little smaller, but if you're forward thinking in your preparation, then it's not an issue that you have less space. So we've
Yeah,
made Thanksgiving meals in our
same.
RV. Yeah, so it's a lot of people, I think too though, because people don't realize now how much is in an RV.
I
Like
wonder that too when they ask questions like that. Yeah, maybe they don't
they're
realize that.
nice.
Yeah, maybe they
Yeah.
don't realize that we have like a now, especially the newer ones, a full size refrigerator, like
Yeah.
residential 2 door
Dishwasher too.
dishwashers. Yeah, and all that. Yeah, I think there probably is like a little bit of misconception, and maybe too, I guess different model. Like if you're in a, see, I don't want to offend anybody in something smaller, but I was going to say if I get in a camper van, maybe you don't have like our convection oven slash microwave is the same size that we have in our house. It's huge, but in a camper van, you wouldn't be able to fit this microwave. So maybe that's where part of it comes in. Maybe it does. Maybe it is slightly dependent on the style of RV you have. But then I feel like what happens is people in vans I know is cook outside a lot. So they
That's what I
have
was
their,
just gonna say.
yeah. So you make it work either way. I don't feel like anybody in an RV is having a difficult time cooking. I doubt it anyway. I bet you they cook. They might even make more extra, like something that they wouldn't do at home. They probably wait for in the RV because they're like, oh, we're going to cookout. We're going to do a barbecue. We're going to make this big, whatever it is.
Yeah. I've seen walking Toby around campgrounds in the morning, people are making eggs and
I do too.
biscuits and bacon, all that stuff outside,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of options, even if you don't want to do it over like the open fire.
Mm-hmm.
We just talked to Weber and they have options for cooking outside, lots
Yep.
of options for cooking complete meals outside.
Yeah. Yeah. The portable ones, the propane, the shark. Yeah. So, yeah, I see those people too in the morning when I'm walking Bell, and I'm like, wow, these guys are ambitious.
Yeah.
I do. I would say I do 90% of my cooking inside, unless we're at a KOA and there's a grill. Then I'll go out and use the grill. But it's very rare. We used to have a a Coleman grill that we used to bring on trips with us. Well, not trips, we just lived in the RV, but we used to have one. And I found that I wasn't using it that much and it was hard to clean. So we wound up donating it to somebody. But I do enjoy when we go to a campground and they have it already there. I don't know. It's like a treat at those times, because I'm not doing it all the time. I think it's almost like a treat in those cases.
Yeah, I think if we didn't have what we have in our RV, we would have
Yeah.
gotten tools to cook outside because we just prefer to cook our meals.
Yeah, and your fifth wheel, you have 3 burner as well, I believe.
We
Three
have
burner stovetop.
4.
Oh, see, you're a step above me even. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can have a lot going on at the same time. Boiling pots of water, having a
Yeah.
tea kettle on there. You got your frying. Yeah. Yeah. If anything we're talking about scares you about RV life, dumping the tanks is easy. You're not antisocial. Don't let people think that you're antisocial. It is very safe. It is not very cheap. But you can make your own meals. And that is a way to save money.
Oh
But
yeah.
it just kind of transferred though. When we were living in our apartment, we were doing most of our meals. We'd every
Oh,
once in a while we go out for dinner, but that's just something that we transferred from living at home, is that we've
yeah.
always made our own meals. We're kind of finicky, I guess. And I think our last one for myths is that RV full time is only for the retired. And I bet you at one time that was probably true. And I would say probably in the last 10 years that has really shifted, maybe even in the last less than 10 years, that has really shifted not to be the case with digital nomads. And we just talked with Camille. She's going to be the next guest on the show about, how to work from home, how to work remotely. That is, man, that is on fire right now as far as remote work and not punching in an office or anything like that. You can RV full time and live in your RV. You guys did it. Sabrina and I have been doing it. Like it is, and we've gone to shows where it's it's a hot topic.
Yeah, it's not that hard anymore to work from the road.
And because of the pandemic, so many people switched to working at home. Now I don't even think it's like a taboo thing. They're like, oh, you work from, I think before people would have been like, oh, you work from home, and they're just picturing you in your pajamas, not really doing anything, watching TV and checking email every once in a while. But now it's kind of, it's almost mainstream, I would say.
Yeah, as long as you have a good connection.
That's
and
it. Yeah.
Probably a camera for meetings.
Oh yeah.
You're good.
Yeah. And I mean, just like here, I think you use a camera. I should get a camera, but I'm just using the camera that's in my MacBook. And this is a 2015 MacBook. It's not anything amazing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the main thing is. The internet connection.
The internet is still, the internet is still kind of funky, but it's better now than it was 5 years ago, and it'll be better in 5 years than it is now.
Yeah.
Starlink sounds like it's going to be very promising once that gets up and going. So it becomes easier. Campgrounds, our friends Heath and Alyssa, they're building a campground, and they're going to have high-speed internet right at their campground. They're talking about having 1 gig down and a gig uploads, maybe even more than that. I forget what the last numbers were. He keeps on upping it. So
wow.
Yeah, they're talking about having some serious internet capability, but their campground is going to be catered to that digital nomad. So it's very possible now to full time and not be retired. It's probably more fun to be retired and full time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But you don't have to be retired to be full time. But that was something that was very often asked to Sabrina and I. Like, we would be at a campground and somebody would say, "Yeah, where are you coming from?" And we tell them where we're coming from. And then he said, "Oh, well, when are you going back home?" And we said, "Oh, well, we live in the RV." And they're like, "Well, you look too young to be retired. Are you retired?" And I said, "No, we're not retired." But that was, I mean, for the first 2 years, we were asked that at every campground. "Are you guys are retired? You're retired?" Like, that was the surprise. And then we were like, "No, we're not retired. And this is what we do. We just travel in our RV for work." So I don't think we have, well, one, we're a little older now, but people don't seem as shocked to find out that we're not retired, and people don't even ask anymore. Sean, and I got to send you a screenshot. I'm getting senior emails.
Oh, wow.
So I've gotten 2 in the last 6 weeks. I've gotten 2 senior emails saying,
wow,
join us for these benefits. 2 different companies. Getting old, Sean. I was like, man, they're not wasting any time. They're ready for me.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of these are myths. That it could work that way for some people, but for the majority, I think many of these myths are busted.
Yeah, I think so. I think every one of them are busted. Yeah. I agree. And then, kind of keeping with the same type of theme, I thought it'd be fun to share, like, maybe 1 or 2 things that surprised us about RV life. And for me, was definitely just how friendly. We weren't prepared to just how friendly people were in RV, in the community, in the RV world, that, you just stand outside, you scratch your head, and somebody will come over and say, "Hey, do you need help? I see you look."
Yeah.
The very first time, or the first month that we had our RV, I remember being at a campground, and somebody, before we even set up, we just kind of got out of the RV, and somebody was walking past. He said, "Hey, your RV looks kind of new, and you guys look kind of young. Do you need a hand setting up?" And I was like, "Oh, we're okay." But I mean, he totally caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for anybody to offer help for no reason at all. And there's been times that I have needed help. It's an embarrassing story, but I was coming out of a campsite, and you would do your walk around, you look around, you look for trees and stuff like that, or wires hanging down or anything like that. I don't even know if I think I've told you this story. And pulling out of the campground and pulling out of the site, I was making a left, and our exhaust hangs kind of low, and it got caught on a tree stump.
Oh yeah, yeah. You told me this one.
And man, it got caught. Like I couldn't back up and I couldn't go forward. And I got out and I was looking at it, and somebody came over and he said, "Hey, I got a Sawzall. I can cut the exhaust tip off." And it wasn't a tip, it's all one piece or whatever. I was like, man, that'd be awesome. I was like, who carries a Sawzall with them? He went back to his RV, came back with a Sawzall, cut us off, and we were down, on our way. I was like, man, that was so nice of that guy. But yeah, it was something I didn't really. Now I look down when looking, to get out of a site, because there could be boulders and rocks and stuff like that. But at the time, I was just like looking for like low trees and stuff like that. So people are like, that totally caught us off guard. We were not prepared for just how friendly people were. And the other thing, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand. We weren't prepared for just the community of the RV people and just how strong, friendly they are, and how well we are able to, because of social media, keep in touch with people, even though you barely see the person in person. Like, you might see them 1 year and you might not see them for another 2 years, but in between that time, you've been keeping up with them through social media. And when you see them again, it's not like you haven't seen them in a long time type of thing. Like, it's a strong community.
Yeah, I think those are probably my top two as well. I think overwhelmingly the RV community is probably the most helpful community
It is.
I've ever been in.
Yeah, same here. I've never seen anything like it where people are this helpful.
Yeah.
Not just friendly, but really, like, they want to go out of your way. In the forums too. I see it in the forums where people are very, they'll look for schematics and look for wiring diagrams and say, "Hey, I think this is your problem. Check out this wiring diagram. I think this is what's the cause of your whatever it is in your RV." Like, they're doing like research and trying to help somebody. Of course, you get a couple people every once in a while. They're like, "Oh, this isn't a question for this." And yeah. But for the most part, it is like 90% all positive and really trying to help people.
And it's probably turned me into a more helpful person, because if somebody, like, sometimes on social media, you try and addressing somebody's question and you can't really do it, I'll get on the phone with them and talk to them for an hour or so, even though I never met the person, just to help them out.
Yep. I've had long email conversations with people trying to help them out. Mm-hmm. I've tried to answer things on questions. I think Sabrina and I have done like Zoom meetups with people and tried to walk them through stuff. I think I've become more social since being in the RV. Not that I was ever an antisocial person, but I feel like I am friendlier because of the RV, and the community kind of invites that.
Yeah.
It's okay to be friendly type of thing. Yeah. And I think that rolls us right into the RV news. And Sean and I collect some information that we see that's going around the internet, and we share it with you. And sometimes we're surprised. We've had stories like this in the past, but I thought this one was a little unique. So in Midway, Kentucky, which is just like a little small town, a company is trying to build a campground. It's a large campground, like 200 acres. The county
313 sites, I think they wanted.
Is that what it was? Wow, that is
313 sites and 82 cottages.
Oh, okay.
That's big.
And it's big. And the size of the town, or the residency that it's in, is 1,700 for a population, so it's not that big of a town. And anyway, they're getting a lot of fighting back, I guess. Fight back, or what's the word? Something back. Pushback from it. So the newest thing is that the council has voted not to allow the developers run water or sewer. And for a campground, it's difficult to have a campground. You're allowed to put your campground here, but we're not going to let you have water or sewer go to it. It makes it a little difficult to have a campground.
I can see why the community is a little scared.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, I mean, phase 1 of the park is 313 sites and 82 cottages. And then phase 2 is another 150 sites.
It's sizable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think maybe the company maybe approached it wrong.
That's what I
Maybe they
was
should
wondering
have
too.
started a little smaller, but it is for like it's for like a bluegrass experience.
Yeah.
So it seems like it will bring a lot of uh, cool tourism to the town.
Yeah. And I went to the town's website and they advertise, come visit us. We have restaurants. We have this history. There's things to see here. So I thought it was weird that they're advertising to come visit us at the same time they're telling, but I think it's the size.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think it's maybe too much too soon type of thing.
yeah,
That campground will overtake probably their town. It'll be
yeah,
a sizable chunk of their town. If their population is 17 and 1700 and their campsites are 300 plus, two people to a camp. You're
yeah.
almost a half of their population will be at the
Right.
campground. So I feel like it is that. And what was it? I had any potential someone was quoted, a council member was quoted as saying, any potential developers that want to come to Midway and change our town, I want to say this, that Midway is not for sale. So
Yeah, and I bet
there,
that's not the intention of the
yeah,
developer.
I would hope not too, but maybe that is a fear that they're
Yeah,
going to come in, they're going to change the dynamic. Like maybe, when I go to that website, I'll tell you what though, it makes me interested in going and checking out the town. But
yeah,
to go check out Midway, if anybody's from Midway or you know anything about Midway, um, but yeah, maybe that's the thing. They want you to come, they want you to visit, they want you to see it, but they don't want it changed. They don't want
yeah.
their town to go through a drastic change. They're not trying to become a metropolis.
But the way I think of it is if this company that wants to put in this bluegrass experience RV resort, they probably don't want to change the town either because they're going there for a reason.
For that reason, you would think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's a good point too. And you would think that things can be written in some type of contract that says, look, we we want you here. We want this campground here, but let's follow these certain rules. Or can we not have it 300 sites? Can
yeah,
we do 300 sites? That's like, isn't that like Disney size? I feel like Disney is almost like 300 sites, and that's a town in itself.
and 82 cottages.
It's 300 plus 82.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Yeah. So that's huge.
yeah,
Yeah. That's huge. That's a town.
yeah,
That's like a small town right there.
yeah,
It's, yeah, what was it? 200 acres, right?
yeah. 200
200
acres.
acres. Yeah. So I could see why there's pushback for that.
Yeah.
I could see.
Interesting though, because a lot of places want money
Mhm.
and they're willing to sacrifice
Yeah.
the tourism dollars to
That would
keep
be a
their town.
huge, yeah, that would be a huge revenue for them to
Yeah,
bring that kind of people in. And RVers, going back to this RV and cheap, RVers are not typically ones that are staying at campgrounds and stuff are not usually cheap. They do go out to
yeah,
restaurants. They do hit the local shops
yep,
and buy stuff. Yeah, it would be good revenue for them, but maybe maybe it'd be just too much.
yeah,
It's like almost like putting when the casinos hit Atlantic City for the very first time, and that whole
yeah,
area just kind of suffered from it. So maybe that's something that they're afraid of. They don't
yeah,
want their community to suffer just for the revenue type of
right,
thing.
yeah,
Because I'm sure they're probably doing fine already. It's not like they obviously they didn't go out looking for somebody to build
right.
there, so they're probably doing okay in that way. But yeah, I read this. I was like, it makes me curious more about Midway. If I'm ever in that area, I want to go check it out. And I don't think I've ever heard of it before
Yeah, I didn't hear of it until this article.
until this. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good for them too, I guess.
Just
Get a little
don't
publicity.
drive your RV in the town. They
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
not like you.
Which is a shame because we need, with the influx of sales and everything, we need more campgrounds.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not getting easier to get a site. So
I just read that internet searches related to RVing were up 400% last year from previous.
really,
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
And I feel like RVing has been on a high for the last 5 years too. So it's not
Yeah.
like it came off of a bad year.
Right.
It the year before that, I bet you was still very, climbing to its peak type of thing. And
Yeah.
then to surpass that by 400%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, our next news is good news then, because
Yeah.
Lazy Days is coming to Iowa, and they're going to build a dealership, and it's going to have service bays as well, 20 service bays. And that too is a big deal. I mean, I constantly see in forums and Facebook people trying to get their RV serviced. They drop it off in September and they don't pick it up till like March.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, long periods. You and I are pretty lucky. And the fact that we do most of our own maintenance as much as
Yeah.
we can, we just, but not everybody's like that. And not everybody can do that.
Right.
So, I mean, you and I have been pretty lucky in staying out of service centers. Although I have taken my RV, it's different, I feel like, but I have taken my RV to Winnebago, but that's a whole different animal out there. Like they're really on top. Like I've never had them have my RV for more than a day,
Yeah.
which is weird. It's like unheard of. So whatever Winnebago's doing up there in Iowa and service department wise, they have the staff for it. They only work on Winnebagos. They have the parts right there. And I think a lot of times it is a parts thing. If you go to another service center and they got to order the part from Thor or whoever it might be. I think a lot of times it is part related why some of these RVs take so long. But there's also the waiting list can be
Yes.
incredibly long. And I don't know, Sean, what do they have to do? So this Lazy Days that's building, would you like them to do reservation or first come, first serve?
Well, I prefer reservation if, this is a big if when you make your appointment, if you know what parts are needed to have them, pre-order that stuff.
That's a good point. Yeah, if you could call them, get the parts there, and then I guess the best would be like maybe a little bit of a mixture of both, because I am a reservation person. I don't like throwing caution to the wind. I don't know if that's the term, but I like to know, like, when I show up somewhere that I'm going to have something done or that there's some, like, I don't know if I would just blindly go to a service center and be like, and I take that back. I have done that. I've done that at Camping Worlds. The one in Roanoke, Virginia was first come, first serve. So I would be there at like 7 a.m. But I've also been there and they didn't get to me and I had to go back and try again. So I have done it that way. And I don't think I'm a fan of it. I don't think I'm a fan of the
Places
first come,
like
first serve.
this, like Lazy Days, now that they're across the country, and I think Camping World, they're across the country.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to go to one that's closest to you. Let's say you're a full-time RVer, right? And I'm in Lazy Days of Omaha when it opens, this dealership we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a problem. I should be able to take it there for a day, let them look at it, do the estimate, figure out what's going to be needed. And then let's say I can't stay there for a month while they're waiting on the parts. I should be able to go to like book an appointment in the Lazy Days in Tucson, for instance, to have the work done. And they should be able to order the parts based on the estimate.
Yeah, I wonder if they can do that. That's a good idea. I like that idea.
Same with Camping Worlds, because they're everywhere.
Even even more so with the Camping Worlds, because they are, like you said, they are everywhere. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, have one Camping World assess it, figure out what it needs. You're traveling somewhere else and have the parts sent to that camp. Do they work like that? I don't know, Sean.
I don't think so.
I don't think they do. I think I feel like they're kind of all independent from one another. I don't think they do work that way. And I'm trying to think, Ford does work that way. So Sabrina and I remember that we were in a Ford dealership once, and they said, we can't get the part before you leave this town. I think it was like an oxygen sensor or something. It was when we first bought the RV, but they said, and we did this, they said, we can call ahead to a Ford dealership along your route and have the parts in there. So when you arrive there, it'll be there. And that's what we did. And I feel like Fords are also, I think the dealers are independent from each other.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, because you can have like a John Kennedy Ford and a Jason Smith Ford, but they must work somehow together. Oh, it was under warranty. I wonder if that was the difference.
Oh, maybe.
It was when we first got the RV, it was an oxygen sensor under warranty. They said they couldn't get the part, but it's a warranty part. That's probably the difference. When it's under warranty, then it's probably more of a Ford corporate thing and not so much.
I'd be willing to pay $50 at the one Camping World to give me an estimate.
Yeah, to get the estimate.
Yeah.
Figure it out and see what it is. And then I guess maybe it's a liability, not liability as far as like damages, but maybe one Camping World looks at it and says, oh, it needs this. It goes to the other Camping World. They do the work. It doesn't fix it. It didn't turn out to be that problem. And then they're like, well, we didn't assess it. The Camping World that you were in 3 states ago said it was this. We didn't say it was this. Maybe that's what they're worried about. RVs are kind of finicky.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on them. But you would think though, the Camping Worlds, that would be a great bonus. Sean, submit that to them.
Okay.
Get that done.
I'll send it in.
And this dealership will be opened this time next year, I believe. Are we in the fourth quarter now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this time next year, the Omaha, Iowa Lazy Days, and it'll be a dealership and service center, but no campground. There are Lazy Day campgrounds though as well. That's everything. Service. Ones in Florida is like that, I believe, right? The Lazy Days in Florida is like that.
The one in Lazy Days in Tucson.
Tucson is like that, right?
Do you to the KOA?
Yeah, that's right. I think I got a part from there, from the one in Tucson. I can't remember what it was, but I think you were staying there. We were visiting you, and I think I got something. I just don't remember what while we were there. I don't know. Whatever it was, they were able to get it.
Yeah. I like their accessory stores. Usually they have a lot of stuff to...
I like browsing.
A mini Camping World.
Yeah, same thing. I like going. Camping World always gets a bad rap, and I like going to Camping Worlds and just window shopping and stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like once you get to a certain size for a company, it's tough to. And I guess this sounds like a bad excuse, but it's probably tough to keep the quality at a certain level. If you're just one store, every single employee that's in that store, you probably have a pretty good grasp on everybody. And grasp probably isn't the best word to use, but what your employees are capable of.
Right.
Where they can fit the best, or if they don't fit at all, then I guess unfortunately you get, But I guess once you get to like Camping World size, where you're hundreds of thousands of employees, then I guess management, like everything kind of. Because we've been to some Camping Worlds and they are fantastic. And we've been to other ones that are, I'll just say, were not fantastic.
Yeah.
And there is a big range depending on where you go. So, I mean, if you're listening, we have no affiliation with Camping World. If you've been to one Camping World and was horrible, I wouldn't say, they're all horrible. Take a look at reviews online, before you go in, see what they say about the place. Keep in mind, people don't usually write glowing reviews. Usually people are on something to write something negative. It's actually something I think you guys do too, but something that Sabrina and I try to do. If we have a good experience somewhere, we try to write them a nice review, because we know it's difficult to get good reviews. People are usually writing out of anger a lot of times. But that'll help. We need more service centers. So 20 bays, that's great. They said they'll have a collision center and parts and accessories and stuff like that. I don't typically think of collision centers and RVing, but I guess that happens too. So it sounds like it's going to be like a a top-notch service
Yeah, I
area.
know the Lazy Days in Tampa, they have, I mean, they have a full collision center. They can, I mean, even paint.
Yeah,
So,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So yeah, it's probably going to be a great place to go, especially so keep in mind if you need work done, show up there this time next year because you'll be first in line.
Yeah.
They'll be able to get right to you. Well, it just says fourth quarter. I don't know when the fourth quarter is. That first week of
October through
October,
December.
October through December. Yeah. So yeah, show up around October. You should be able to get right in, unless they start taking reservations before they open, which is
Yeah.
possible. Yeah.
This next story, Kenny, I thought was really cool. And it doesn't make for mainstream, solar powered travel yet, but it does show that we have the technology to be able to do it. And what it is this solar powered RV built by students at a university in the Netherlands, traveled from the Netherlands to Spain, which is like driving, they said, from New York City to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
And they averaged, I think, 100 and what does it say? 186 miles per day at speeds up to 75 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was surprised by that speed slash distance.
Without ever plugging in or, having to recharge in any sort of way.
Okay. Well,
And it looks, I mean, the pictures,
it's nice.
it's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice looking. And it's got
Yeah.
a cool, so when it's driving, it's got 94 square feet of solar panels. And then when they park it, there's panels that kind of swing out almost like wings, and it doubles their surface to 188 square feet. So I thought that was pretty smart. I like
Yeah.
the idea that when it stops, it just unfolds, and you're not like setting up panels or portable panels or anything like that. It's a really cool looking design. It looked nice on the outside and the inside. It's
And the
very
inside, yeah.
sleek looking. I think they considered it to be a van or
Yeah.
a class B for the
Right.
size and shape of it. But it had a sink, toilet, kitchen area, a shower, double bed. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's definitely definitely an RV. And like you said, Sean, I was really surprised by the speeds that it was able to do. I didn't see if it was rear wheel, front wheel, all wheel,
Yeah. It
or
didn't
anything like
say
that.
that.
And I couldn't find, but you just said, so maybe it was, so no plug in at all. It's 100% solar.
Yeah. They never plugged in
That's,
or
that's great
stopped
too.
for fuel.
Hmm.
It was all 100% solar.
And I saw on a clear sunny day, it said that it was able to add 81 miles of range on a sunny, those the cells. I I didn't see anywhere that it said, it said the square footage, but it didn't. I couldn't find the watts, like just how much solar was packed into
Yeah.
that onto that square footage. I mean, the whole thing is solar roof.
Right.
The roof is like built in. It's not like they took a van. This doesn't even look like a van. It's a bad description of it, but it's not like they took a vehicle and then placed panels on top of it. The roof is the solar panels in a sense, and then these other panels are able to swing out from underneath that when they park. And it said it had a 60 kilowatt battery, which isn't huge for a van size vehicle. I mean, that's about standard range Mach-E is about a 60 kilowatt battery. So
Okay.
it's like a EV car size battery. The difference is that solar's
Right.
keeping that battery maybe not topped off, not at 75 miles an hour, but
Right.
it's recharging. And I don't think you would know better than me, Sean. You're more a world traveler. Is the Netherlands a sunny climate? It's not
I would say it's average.
just average. Okay. So it's not
Hmm.
like it's not like
Spain is sunny though.
Spain is. Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
Spain was a sunny so like this would probably do very well in Arizona. We get tons
Oh
of
yeah.
sun here. Almost very little cloud, and when it does get cloudy, it's only cloudy for a little bit and then it goes away. Even during our monsoon season, it would rain for 30, 40 minutes and then that would be it. And then it was done again.
Yeah.
So Seattle, it might not
Yeah.
work out too well in Seattle. But I agree with you. I don't think this. I think this is more of a vehicle of what's possible and
Yeah.
what we're capable of doing now today without any further advance. Like this is possible. It's able to be done. They were traveling, a little under 200 miles every day, which is decent. That's really
Yeah.
good. They never plugged in. They got their kitchen and bathroom. They're self-sustained. I think it's
And the
pretty cool.
appliances and everything worked off the solar as well.
Yep, cooking,
Yeah.
everything. I think I read that had some type of software in there that could tell you before you made something how long could you run this item for? It would tell you like you can run the stovetop for X amount of time before you run out of power and stuff like that. So
Okay.
it
Yeah.
had like some intelligent interface. Yeah, I was pretty excited when I saw that.
Yeah, it seems like if it's possible, maybe I don't know, in the next 10 or 20 years we'll
Yeah,
see some production
yeah,
of an all solar
yeah.
vehicle.
I know I know Elon's been asked about, and it's different, with a car compared to something the size of a van or an
Yeah.
RV. You don't really have a whole lot of
Right.
surface to be putting the panels on. But he's said in the past for his cars anyway, the size of the roof, it's just not. You, I want to say, if it was parked out in the sun all day, you get like 5 miles added
Yeah.
onto the range. He said it's just the cost of the panel to put it in the roof. It's just not. You're better off plugging into a 110 outlet for 2 hours would give you the same with that what that solar was going to do all day, and that's just off of a 110, no special, nothing, no
Yeah.
three prong, no nothing, just
But
um
for something like a RV or camp
mhm.
or a van, this is a pretty good solution, I think.
Yeah, when you have that type of roof, and then
Yeah.
you're able to like, because when you park your RV, you're camped out, maybe
And
even
it's
make.
like one of them works kind of as an awning. One
That's
of
what I was
those
just
things
going to
that comes
say.
out.
Yeah, so then you have a little bit of shade underneath. It makes, I think solar makes way more sense for RVing than it does for automotive.
Yeah.
For trucks, I see people talking about the F-150. It's got the bed. Why not, instead of a tunnel, the bed cover or the tonneau cover, turn that into a solar panel? But I think it's the same thing. You're not going to get, the
There's not
cab's
much
going to
surface
block the
area.
sun and
Yeah.
different sides. And, this being on an RV, there isn't anything up above it to block
Right.
the sun. It just makes more sense on an RV.
Yeah.
And I'm still impressed with the miles that they were able to do.
I know.
I think we've talked to like KOA where they said that people don't travel a ridiculous amount of time, distance a lot of times for camping. A lot of times it
Right.
is like a little local trip, the little
Yep.
weekend trip. That thing would be
Yep.
awesome for little weekend
Awesome. Yeah.
trips.
Yeah.
It'd be perfect when you're not trying to drive across the country, but it could do it. You would just take, just like now in an EV, it just takes a little extra planning.
Right.
But even it already takes a little extra planning when driving across the country in an RV. What's a little bit more planning
Yeah.
really on top
Exactly.
of it? I mean, we already plan where we're going to stop for fuel, where we don't want to stop to sleep for the night,
Yep.
and where you don't stay. Yeah. So what's a little bit that the routes that you're going to take so you're not hitting traffic at certain times. So a little bit more planning, no big deal. Yeah.
Then the last one, I've found a few articles by this guy Taylor Martin, and he writes basically about everything with a motor, I think. But he
Oh,
does have a lot of articles about early RVing. And it turns out that I came across this one, and this was really fascinating to me, that the first RV, quote unquote, RV was called a Pierce Arrow Touring Landau.
mm-hmm.
And it was made over 100 years ago, just 2 years after the Model T.
That's what I found most interesting, is that it was only two years after the Model T. We're already trying to make something that we can live in and travel in at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah, that's what I found most interesting. And it says that it's the first production, right?
Yeah.
And Pierce Arrow, when I read the name Pierce Arrow, I was like, oh, they're still around today. But I think it's I had it confused with a Pace Arrow.
Oh, okay.
But Yeah. So this Pierce Arrow, 1910, they considered this would have been a class. They
Class
categorized
B.
that as a class B as well. But yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, just 2 years after automobiles go into like full production, we're already trying to figure out, well, how can we live in one and
Yeah.
travel? I wonder if it goes back to like stagecoaches and how that was just traveling, though. I guess that wasn't really, I mean, they weren't doing it for vacationing or anything
Right.
like that. But this looks more like it was for vacationing. And they said it was because hotel infrastructure wasn't available. I mean,
Oh, okay.
cars had just started growing. There were no hotels because nobody traveled to need a hotel. So this was filling a niche. Was you could travel a long distance and stay in your own vehicle because where instead of staying out in the ground and or in tent because there were no hotels yet or motels to stay in. I guess maybe there were inns, but the inns would have been in towns. They wouldn't have been
Right.
like in between. There was nothing
Yep.
like in those in between areas because
Yeah.
the infrastructure wasn't there. It kind of reminded me of like EVs where people are talking about, you might have a charge station in one city and a charge station in the other city, but if you're on I-10 going through the desert, there's no station in between
Exactly.
just yet anyway.
Well,
Um,
what I thought was interesting is people nowadays say how expensive RVs are.
hmm,
And this in
yeah,
1910 was $8,000, which was 230,000 in
yeah,
today's dollars.
yeah, hasn't
Eh,
changed much.
No, it's been expensive the whole time.
It's been expensive since day one. Yeah, and that's a yeah class B. So a class B for 230,
Yeah.
which is about what some of them are nowadays, depending on what you have in them. If you get the power systems and everything like that. Yeah, and then yeah, it was expensive from day one. And then there's uh, shortly after that in 1915 they made the Gypsy van, and that would have
Yeah.
been considered a full size.
Like a
So
class A
like
almost.
a class A.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it must have been popular enough for them to want to expand it or look, even like there must have been something that people saw in RVing like right away that they're like, we can expand upon this. This I really like this idea, but I wish I had more space
Right.
type of thing. So let's try to build a and so that was on they said a 3-ton Packard pickup truck. And when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, that's not a class A. But then I looked up what that is, and it's more like picture like a stake body truck with
Okay.
a tractor trailer front to it almost with a
Yeah.
flat bed in the back. So they built it off of that. It's not
Oh, yeah.
they called it a pickup truck, but it's not a pickup truck like what I was thinking of. It doesn't
Three
look any.
ton, that's pretty big.
It said it was a 17 passenger.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like the motor, because the Model T wasn't known as like a
Mm,
racehorse or anything.
right.
The engineering between 1908 and 1915 must have really like gotten really good to have vehicles that big.
Yeah. And I guess in 1915, there wasn't, well, some Model Ts, I guess, had no, I don't think they did. And by 1915, are we still cranking them? Or do
Oh,
we
I don't
have
know.
electric start?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
I feel like maybe we're still cranking them. And that might, maybe not in that size truck with that size engine. Like you're saying, it must have,
Yeah.
to have that type of power. I don't know if we could crank it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a good question. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but they said 17 passengers. It had a shower, full size kitchen. It had small appliances. So yeah, I think it's kind of neat to think about like where the roots of our being came
Yeah.
from.
They don't say the price of this one, but
I couldn't find a price either.
yeah, but I bet it was more than 230, more than $8,000 in those days dollars.
Yeah, especially like you're saying, for the engineering portion of it, that
Yeah.
I would imagine a vehicle of that size and that power had to be expensive just for the chassis and the
Yeah.
just for what it is before you even added anything to it. I bet you it was a pretty pricey uh, uh chassis just to begin with. What was that Pierce Arrow? What was that built on? Did it say what it was built on? Was it a? Oh yeah, touring land.
Landau.
Yeah, I don't
It's
even know what
more
that
like a
is.
limousine.
Oh, it was, yeah, because they even said the driver and the
Yeah, it was
back portion
separate.
was separate with a phone that connected them, so you could like
Yeah.
talk to the driver. Yeah, that was a cool find. That article
Yeah.
that was really neat. Yeah, 1910. We missed it, Sean. We missed the 100-year anniversary.
Yeah.
But yeah, one I so I've been to, and I keep on telling you that you would enjoy it too. I tell everybody, anybody that's RV'd at all would enjoy the RV Hall of Fame in Indiana. It is such a great little museum. I think it's bigger now, actually. When Sabrina and I were there a couple of years ago, I would say it was a small museum, but I think they've expanded since. But they have RVs from like the early 20s. They might even have this one from 1910. I remember them
Oh.
having some old RVs, and even RVs like in the 20s and 30s, they had slide outs. And I think of slide outs as being like such a new, it didn't work the same way. You know, it wasn't like push a button and it slid up, but it had it had the ability to slide out. In the 80s, they had microwaves in them. And I think microwaves were kind of new in homes even in the 80s, you
Yeah.
know, for the normal public type of thing. So yeah, again, if anybody's listening and you want to like check out the history or walk through the history of RVing, they have some cool concept RVs that never made it to the market at the museum. And that's, geez, where is that in Indiana? I was about to say where it is, and now I can't remember. Let's look up the RV Hall of Fame. It's really fun. It's they let you in most of the RVs. Like it's not just look at it from the outside. You can walk in it, which I was kind of surprised about. I actually turned the microwave on in one of them that we were checking out, and I was surprised that it actually turned on. I quickly turned it off. I wasn't expecting the microwave to kick on when I pushed the buttons. It was like, I shouldn't even say buttons. They didn't have buttons. It was a, you know,
The
those turn
dial.
dial. Yeah, you turn the dial and it starts ticking.
Yep.
I was
It's
like,
in
oh
Elkhart,
no.
Indiana.
Elkhart, Indiana. I could not remember. Yeah. I don't know what else is in Elkhart, Indiana, other than the capital of RVing, but
Yeah.
um, I think it's worth a trip. Sabrina and I really enjoyed that museum. If you like museums, you'll have a good time. And I think if you like RVing, you'll have a good time. If you like both, then you'll have a great time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we haven't been yet. It's on our list.
Yeah. How far
Yeah.
are you from there, Sean? A couple, it's a good drive, right?
It's
I
a pretty good
mean,
drive, I think.
yeah, it's not a weekend. You couldn't do it in
No,
a
I don't think
weekend.
so.
Not, and not have fun anyway. You'd be
Right.
there for an hour and
Yeah.
have to pack up and head out again. Yeah, it was cool because they had some concept vehicles too that were kind of neat. And then they had some personal vehicles too, people with just a lot of money that built RVs. And they had one in there that was kind of funny in a sense. This guy put like $1 million into an RV and never thought about the weight capacity. The thing couldn't drive, it was so heavy. He had marble floors and vanities in the bath. It weighed so much it could not move. He couldn't
Wow.
drive it. It was pretty cool though to look at. You're just going to drive it anywhere. I don't know if it physically wouldn't go anywhere or if it was just like illegally couldn't go
Right.
anywhere, but the whole thing sagged. Like it was leaning to one side. So it might not have physically gone anywhere
Yeah.
either. But that was pretty cool. It's a fun, it's pretty cool. Definitely worth the trip out there if you have the time.
So what do we have coming up? We have this month we'll have an episode with Camille for remote work school.
Yep. That's a good one.
And yep. And then we also have coming up interview with part of RV life. And we're going
Yeah.
to talk about RV Trip Wizard.
Yeah. Which I hear a lot about. We actually haven't recorded that episode just yet. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Patrick and finding out more about it. But I hear RV Trip Wizard mentioned all the time. When somebody says, oh, how do you plan your trip? I always hear somebody say, oh, I use RV Trip Wizard. Like I just hear a lot about it. So, and there's a couple features in that program that you and I are interested in about like the cost that it can evaluate what a trip will cost you. It helps you figure out things like that. So I think that's going to be a great episode too. I'm looking forward to learning. Again, it's like one of the best things about the show is that you and I learned so
Yeah.
much about talking with these people and these companies. So I'm looking forward to both those episodes.
Yeah, just like FMCA, again, they have so many benefits that we had no idea about. So if you're interested, use that link in our show notes, and or you can use our discount code BTW10
Yep.
and get the $10 off. And it's a really good value for what you pay and what you get, I think.
Yeah, you get a lot out of it. It's well worth
Yeah.
the $50 a year. It's
Yeah.
really worth it. Yeah, and like Sean said, we probably don't promote this enough, but we do have a page called Brands That We Trust, and we just added FMCA on there with this discount. I believe they're the only ones that are giving us a discount, but there's other companies on there that we've gotten to know over the years that we feel have exceptional customer service and great products. And we have a whole page there called Brands We Trust. If you're shopping around for some RV gadgets, Techno RV, if you're looking for FMCA, you get a discount. I think that is everything for this episode. We want to thank Battleborn Batteries and Tempstick for sponsoring this episode and all of our episodes. Show we wouldn't be able to do the show without them. They're great supporters of us, and we appreciate everything that they do for us.
Yeah, definitely. And I just love that temp stick, man.
I
I
was on
really do like it.
I was going to say now isn't the time that people would typically think of maybe using a temp stick, but I'm about to move it into our cargo bays because I'm in Arizona. I'm not going to winterize our RV. I'm going to put the temp stick down in our cargo bays just to monitor, because even though we're in Arizona, the locals here are telling me that we do get a bunch of cold nights. So my plan for winterizing is turn on the furnace in the RV. Probably set it to like 40, 45. And, I have the micro air that I can check the temperature of the RV, but it doesn't check the cargo bays. It's just the room temperature, I guess you could say. So I'm going to be using my temp stick to keep an eye on my cargo bays to make sure that they are not going down below freezing. So yeah, it's a great, easy to use product.
Yeah, so easy. So easy.
They are on our Brands That We Trust, and so is Battleborn.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk to everybody in 2 weeks, and until then, safe travels, everyone.
Take care, everybody. Be safe.